Good morning, one and all. Today we will start our third unit, that is digestive system. In today's class, we will discuss about only introduction. So, first coming to the digestion. What is meant by digestion? Breakdown of food into simple chemical substances that can be absorbed and used as nutrients by the body. Nothing but whatever food you are taking, that can be broken down into simple substances that can be easily absorbed and utilized by the body as nutrients for the energy purpose. And mainly the digestive system includes two things. One is digestive tract. Digestive tract is also known as gastrointestinal tract or alimentary canal, along with the accessory organs. So the digestive system includes two things mainly. One is digestive tract, another one is accessory organs. So in your exam, if anyone asks explain in detail about the digestive tract or gastrointestinal tract or alimentary canal, you can write about from mouth to anus without the accessory organs. So what is included in the GI tract, we can discuss here. Actually, GI tract is formed by two types of organs. One is primary digestive organs and other one is accessory digestive organs. Primary digestive organs is nothing but where the actual digestion process takes place. So where actually the actual digestion process takes place? In the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. So all these are the primary digestive organs. Next, coming to the accessory digestive organs. Accessory, the name itself indicating that which is helpful. So where it is helpful, which helpful for the primary digestive organs in the process of digestion. So these accessory digestive organs helpful for digestion, which helps for the primary digestive organs involved in the process of digestion. So the accessory digestive organs are teeth, tongue, salivary glands, exocrine part of pancreas, liver and gallbladder. In the mouth, it contains teeth and tongue, salivary glands are present in the mouth, which are helpful for the mechanical digestion. And next, coming to the exocrine part of pancreas, helpful for chemical digestion. Liver and gallbladder, all these are helpful for the chemical digestion. In the pancreas, the endocrine part, which will secrete hormones directly into the blood, but exocrine part, through the duct, it will be secretes the hormones, chemicals into the or enzymes into the stomach, which will helpful for the digestion. Okay, so see here the digestive system. The primary digestive organs as well as accessory organs are represented in this diagram only. See, mouth, that is oral cavity, which consists the tongue, teeth as well as salivary glands. Salivary glands are parotid gland, sublingual gland and submandibular gland. These are mainly helpful for the digestion in the mouth. Mainly the carbohydrates are digested in the mouth. See, mouth is the primary digestive organs. Tongue, salivary glands and teeth are the accessory organs. And next, pharynx, esophagus and stomach, small intestine and large intestine. All these are the primary digestive organs. And secondary digestive organs already, accessory organs already we discussed, the tongue, teeth and salivary glands, as well as see pancreas and stomach, pancreas, liver and gallbladder. Pancreas, gallbladder and liver. Along with the tongue, teeth and salivary glands, the liver, gallbladder and pancreas are involved in as an accessory organs, nothing but which will helpful for digestion. And next coming to the functions of digestion. Mainly 7 functions are performed. Those are, first one is ingestion. Ingestion is nothing but the process of eating. Okay, ingestion. Next, propulsion. We are discussing here stepwise manner. Ingestion, nothing but for the process of eating. Next, propulsion. Once you are eaten, what happened here? The movement of food along the digestive tract. Nothing but here the major means of propulsion is peristalsis. Peristalsis, everyone know that the movement. What type of movement is happening here? A series of alternating contractions and relaxations of smooth muscle takes place. Mainly the smooth muscle that present in the walls of the digestive organs, which will helpful for movementing the food to move forward. So propulsion is nothing but simply movement. Where the movement here happening from mouth to move forward here. From mouth to forward means mouth, what after mouth? Pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. So the movement of food move forward, that movement is known as peristalsis or propulsion. And next coming to the secretion. Secretion is nothing but whatever the digestive axillary organs are involved here, that is pancreas, gallbladder, liver, as well as salivary glands. All these are helpful for secreting some digestive enzymes which will helpful for liquefying the food and adjust the pH and be helpful for chemical breakdown of food. Nothing but actual chemical digestion takes place in the stomach. And next, mechanical. So mechanical digestion is nothing but it is the process of physically break down food into smaller pieces. So this process actually begins at the mouth itself. Why? Because the chewing process, whatever chewing, once your food is placed in the mouth, automatically your teeth is and tongue is helpful for the chewing process, which will helpful and continues with the muscular churning of the stomach. So mechanical digestion is starting in the mouth itself and it is continues towards the stomach by the churning process. Churning is nothing but movement. But what is the difference between peristalsis and churning? Means peristalsis only forward movement and to forward movement, but coming to the churning movement, it is both to forward and backward movement of food will be takes place. Not only a forward movement here, both the food backward and forward movement will be takes place by the contraction of the muscles. So due to the contraction of the muscles, the food forces either directly backward or forward, backward and forward. So that movement we are calling as churning. So additional churning occurs in the small intestine through the muscular constriction of the intestinal wall. This process is also called as segmentation, but it is similar to peristalsis. Already I said that peristalsis here only the forward movement of food only takes place, but here in the segmentation the churning movement mainly takes place by the contraction of the muscles, the movement of food both forward as well as backward. Food backward and forward will be takes place in this segmentation process, where actually takes place in the stomach. And next one is chemical digestion. So chemical digestion is nothing but it is the process of breakdown of food chemically. Chemically means whatever enzymes will be released by the juices, that is pancreatic juice as well as bile juice. These are helpful for the digestion of saliva. All these are helpful for the digestion of food. So whatever the chemicals present in this juices, what chemicals is in the form of enzymes which will helpful for the digestion. Mainly in the stomach and small intestine chemical digestion takes place majorly. And next coming to the absorption. Absorption is nothing but movement of molecules either by the passive diffusion process or active transport process from the digestive tract to adjacent blood and lymphatic vessels. Nothing but simply what we said, absorption is nothing but the movement of molecules from digestive tract to blood through the lacteals present in the small intestine. So absorption mainly takes place in the small intestine. Mainly the absorption of nutrients will be takes place. So whatever fully digested food is there, from the digested food the nutrients will be absorbed into the blood through the lacteals or microvilli on the surface of the small intestine. Next, defecation. So once the actual nutrients is absorbed by the body through the blood, if the unnecessary food or the undigested food, that will be undigested material will be eliminated through the anus. That process we are calling as defecation. Okay. So is it clear the introduction? What is meant by digestion? What is meant by primary digestive organs and auxiliary digestive organs? And next, the 7 functions of the digestive system, that is ingestion, propulsion, secretion, mechanical digestion, chemical digestion, absorption and defecation. Next we have to discuss about the wall of gastrointestinal, the composition of wall of gastrointestinal tract. Actually every digestive organ itself, a digestive organ as well as digestive tract itself consisting of a protective layer around that. It will be so the wall of digestive tract or gastrointestinal tract or alimentary canal formed by 4 layers. That is, first one is here we are discussing from inside to outside. Inside to outside, the arrangement from inside to outside. Inside, it presence of mucus layer, submucous layer, muscular layer and serosal layer. Nothing but inside we are having mucus layer which is directly attached to the digestive tract, gastrointestinal tract. Outer we are having serous or fibrous layer. So from inside to outside we discuss here. Mucus layer, that is the innermost layer of the GI tract. It is also called gastrointestinal mucosa or mucous membrane. And here mucosa has, or mucous layer has 3 layers again, that is epithelial lining, lamina propria and muscularis mucosa. So individually we discuss about these layers. Epithelial lining actually it is in contact with the contents of GI tract. The type of cells in this layer varies in different parts of GI tract. Nothing but mouth and tongue as well as inner surface of pharynx and esophagus have stratified squamous epithelial cells, but the mucous membrane lining the other parts such as stomach, small intestine and large intestine has columnar epithelial cells. Though the epithelial lining is present throughout the GI tract, but some consisting the stratified squamous epithelial cells and remaining consisting the columnar epithelial cells. So mainly the mouth, tongue, pharynx and esophagus have stratified squamous epithelial cells, but the stomach, small intestine and large intestine have columnar epithelial cells. Next, lamina propria. So lamina propria is formed by connective tissue. So connective tissue which contains fibroblasts, macrophages, lymphocytes and eosinophils inside. Okay, lamina propria is formed by the connective tissue. Mainly it contains the fibroblasts, macrophages, lymphocytes and eosinophils. And next coming to the muscularis mucosa, that is the third layer of the mucus layer. It is formed as a thin layer. Here the thin layer of smooth muscle fibers, it is absent in mouth and pharynx, but it is present from esophagus onwards. Nothing but the muscularis mucosa, nothing but the smooth muscle fibers formed as a thin layer which is absent in the mouth and pharynx, but it is present from esophagus. Nothing but from esophagus to large intestine it will be continued. Next coming to the submucous layer. The submucous layer is present in all parts of the GIT except mouth and pharynx, same as muscularis mucosa. Except mouth and pharynx, the remaining parts of the GI tract consisting of a submucous layer. Actually it contains loose collagen fibers, elastic fibers, reticular fibers and few cells of connective tissue. And coming to the submucous layer, it is also consisting of blood vessels, lymphatic vessels and nerve plexus. Blood vessels, lymphatic vessels and nerve plexus are present in this layer. Next coming to the muscular layer, that is the third layer. Already we discussed about mucus layer, innermost layer and submucous layer. Submucous layer is present in between mucus and muscular layer. Next coming to the muscular layer. Muscular layer, here the GI tract consisting of this from mouth to large intestine we consisting of muscular layer, but some consisting of smooth muscle, some consisting of skeletal muscle, some part consisting of both smooth and skeletal muscle. We discuss where it is present. Coming to the lips, cheeks and wall of the pharynx contain skeletal muscle fibers, but the esophagus has both skeletal muscle as well as smooth muscle fibers. Esophagus has both smooth and skeletal muscle fibers. And next coming to the stomach, the wall of the stomach and intestine is formed by smooth muscle fibers. Stomach and intestine, these are formed by smooth muscle fibers, but the arrangement of these smooth muscle fibers is different in stomach and intestine. First we discuss about stomach. These stomach smooth muscle fibers arranged in 3 layers, that is inner oblique layer, middle circular layer and outer longitudinal layer. Here the presence of fibers is same, that is smooth muscle fibers, but the arrangement is different here. Inner it is oblique in arrangement, and middle it is circular arrangement, and outer it is longitudinal arrangement. So that's why these layers will be named as inner oblique layer, middle circular layer, and outer longitudinal layer. And next, coming to the intestinal smooth muscle fibers. These are arranged in two layers, that is inner circular and outer longitudinal. Nothing but here absence of oblique arrangement. So that's why inner circular and outer longitudinal layer will be there in the intestinal smooth muscle fibers. And as well as nerve plexus are also present in the circular and longitudinal fibers. Nerve plexus are present in the inner and longitudinal muscle fibers. The smooth muscle fiber present in inner circular layer of anal canal constitutes of internal anal sphincter, and external anal sphincter is formed by skeletal muscle fibers. Simply, so anal sphincter muscles are present two types, that is internal anal sphincter and external anal sphincter. But the internal anal sphincter muscle is formed by constituting of inner circular layer, but external nothing but formed by smooth muscle fibers, but external anal sphincter is formed by skeletal muscle fibers. It is important for GPAT bit. Remember that the smooth muscle fibers, mainly the inner circular muscle smooth muscle fibers, are constituting the internal anal sphincter, but the external anal sphincter is formed by the skeletal muscle fibers. Internal anal sphincter is formed by inner circular smooth muscle fibers. External anal sphincter is formed by skeletal muscle fibers. And finally, we will go with the outermost layer, that is serosa or fibrous layer. Outermost layer of the GI tract is either serosa or fibrous in nature. Serous or fibrous in nature. The serous layer is also called serosa or serous membrane, and it is formed by connective tissue and mesoepithelial cells. It is formed by connective tissue and mesoepithelial cells. It covers stomach, small intestine and large intestine. The serous layer mainly covers the stomach, small intestine and large intestine. And the fibrous layer is otherwise called as fibrosa, and it is formed by connective tissue. Fibrous layer is also known as fibrosa, which also formed by connective tissue, and it covers the mainly pharynx and esophagus. See, serous layer is covered in stomach, small intestine, large intestine, but fibrosa layer is covered in pharynx and esophagus. So it covers pharynx and esophagus, but the serous layer covers stomach, small intestine and large intestine. So these are the four layers of the GI tract, that is mucous layer, submucous layer, muscular layer and serous or fibrous layer. Is it clear to everyone? Thank you for listening.